I'm on a journey to find out how successful entrepreneurs went from zero to still be able to get the financial, location, and time freedom they wanted. This is the question that we'll attempt to answer together by interviewing 7, 8, and even 9-figure entrepreneurs on how they did it, so you can do more of what you love and achieve your definition of freedom. I'm Bruno Morris, and this is the Zero to Freedom Show. Awesome, awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are in the world. And welcome to the Zero to Freedom Show. I'm super excited today because I got a very special guest. I've met him first at Funnel Hacking Live. I was so impressed from his presentation, so impressed that I decided to immediately buy his book and invest in my growth in YouTube. He's a Wall Street Journal bestseller, and I'm very happy to invite on the stage Derral Eves.
Hey Bruno, how you doing, man?
Fantastic, man. How are you, Derral?
Real good, real good.
Good, good. First of all, thank you again for taking the time to come on this interview today.
Yeah, for
And I'm
sure.
super excited to share your story because in this show, we interview successful entrepreneurs just like you. And the first question that we ask them is, what is your secret that help you to achieve your financial freedom?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing would be twofold. I think the secret includes two things. I think it's mindset
Mm,
and then goal setting. And I
mm,
know that goal setting and mindset are kind of intertwined at times, but I had some very distinct mentors that helped me understand. The only limitations that I have is the limitations that I put on myself. And those people that are moving the needle in the world, their passion and their desires to change things, and the biggest way to do that is to do some really good goal setting and also creating some action plans that would actually be impactful to not only your life but other people's lives. And so that I would say that would be the beginning of any great movement, any great thing is having passion and then knowing, hey, do you know what? I really want to make change, and then setting goals specifically to make those changes. So, regardless if it is to build a business to 7, 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures, you can do that. It's just more putting it realistic goals would be, hey, I want to do it tomorrow. Well, that's not necessarily going to happen to everyone. It could happen to someone, but it might not necessarily happen to you. But it's really creating a litmus test for your goals to become effective, which is making sure that they're realistic and time bound. And so I have set principles that I do that has led to the success that I have currently today.
awesome. That's fantastic. And I love that you said mindset first because mindset is always 90% of the game, but you said passion as well,
Yep.
which is something that I'm really, really strong on. And for people who follow us and they wanna start a YouTube channel, like, do you have a framework or a suggestion on how to go from knowing what is your passion to make it a YouTube channel?
Yeah. So over the course of my career, I've been able to do a lot on YouTube. I've actually generated over 90 billion video views on YouTube. So I've done it
Wow.
a few times, and I've started, had an idea, and that idea translated to over 1 million subscribers. And I've done that 34 times for myself. So it's like, I totally get it from the ideation stage, and I understand kind of the formula that would actually need to exist. But when I first start to work with anyone, if they're my student that I'm mentoring or a client, I ask them, what does their finish line look like? Because I think their finish line is different than everybody else. Like, why YouTube, and what is your finish line to YouTube? If they just say, I just want views and subscribers, I usually think that they're basing their channel on the wrong thing. And if they're like,
Mm,
"Hey, I'm just really passionate about this, and I want to become the best channel around this specific topic," those are the ones that actually grow very fast, very specific. And ultimately it creates opportunities that don't necessarily exist by just focusing in on view metrics.
mm,
The data that doesn't mean anything. I think this is a good principle for anyone navigating money or navigating fame and opportunity. If you actually are passionate about something and want to bring value to someone else, money and views and subscribers will always follow. But that passion is the most critical. The passion is the key, because when you're not passionate about something, it shows. When you're
yes.
passionate about something, it shows. I'm passionate about YouTube. It shows. Like everything
It's
that I
just,
do,
very
it
correctly.
shows. And so that authenticity is what connects to people. And then if you can message it in a way where it's more community driven, then that's where you're going to see a lot more success. So I'd say early on, if you have passion, I would say, what is your finish line? Why are you doing this? And then start creating where you can bring value to others. I think a lot of people think about videos. I don't think about videos. I think about the viewer. And I'm like, okay, how do I bring value to the viewer
Mm,
in the content that I'm creating, in the passion that I have? How can I bring that value to them? And that's where ideation goes to application, and then application goes to data, and then data I'm able to analyze, did that actually resonate of who I am trying to connect with, or didn't it? And if it didn't, then I modify that, or if it did, I do more of that, I modify that, and then I create another piece of content. And then that's how you actually are able to grow on YouTube, is seeing, hey, did that value proposition respond to the viewer? Number one. If it did, in what areas did I connect deeper and what areas did I disconnect? And when you're analyzing that, you're always going to improve. And so even if you just improve by 1% every video, that will help elevate what you're doing. And you just have to be passionate with it, because it's like, it just takes time. It does.
exactly. That's why you must at least love what you do, because, as you said, it's gonna take time. And let's give some realistic expectation.
Yep.
Someone starting from zero. First, how many videos do you recommend that they should post a month?
Yep.
And two, how much time do they need, like as expectation, before starting to see results?
So I would say, don't post a video until you actually take some time to develop what your value proposition is, who your
Mm,
viewer is, and the type of content that would resonate it. I just don't want to put out a video to put out a video.
yeah.
And so for me, there's a certain cadence. There's certain audiences that would like content every day, and you might be able to do content every day. Not saying that you need to do that. I'm just saying that you need to understand what you are going to be different than everything that's all out there. So the first thing in my book that I tell you to do in the YouTube formula is, knowing what your channel's about, and then doing recon and research on understanding what's out there. I think a lot of people say, I want to be on YouTube. I'm like, how much YouTube do you watch? Well, none. Well, maybe you should don't post YouTube videos yet, and spend, an hour or two a day and start seeing what's out there and seeing what you like, what responds, what you can do differently. And so that's where I would say doing recon and research very specifically, and then ultimately translating that into a plan that you're able to execute on.
Awesome, awesome. That's a fantastic tip. That's fantastic. Now, in terms of type of content, because as we know now there is the shorts that are doing really well, and the long form content. Like, what is your tip there? Should beginner people who are starting out, after they understand their value proposition, should they focus more on long form content or short form content?
Once again, I'm gonna say a couple things over and over again, and it's not that I'm trying to be boring or anything like that, but it's like, what are you passionate about? Like at the end of the day,
I like it.
and then two, what type of value are you going to bring? And if you can bring the value in 30 seconds or a minute, then maybe short form's the better audience. But is your audience actually there? That's where you need to go in a little bit deeper and see it. Now, you did say something that I need to address,
Hmm.
which is, you know, you said short form. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of views. I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
word you said, but hey, there's a lot of that, and then you have the long form.
yeah.
Well, here's my synopsis of short form. I'm actually a big fan of short form. I love TikTok. I love YouTube Shorts. I love that type of content. It speaks to me on a deeper level. So I consume a lot. So much so I had to delete the TikTok app off my phone because it wasn't being productive. And so like, hey, I'll watch it. Occasionally I'll install it for a day or
Yeah.
two and then I'll delete it off because I need to be effective. But my question is going to be this: it's like when you understand what's happening, then the views aren't as impressive. So what you're doing is you don't get a choice of what you see in a feed driven system. So you swipe up, you see something, you swipe up when you don't like it, you still get the view. But there's no choice outside of swiping up or watching it deeper and then watching it over. That's basically it. You can swipe the other way and go deeper into their content. But what I'm saying is there's not a lot of choice of what you're actually picking. And so the algorithm is trying to figure out what you want and what's going to be best for you, right? Now, that being said, there's a lot of bad content out there that gets a couple views, maybe 100, maybe 200, 1,000. And they're like, holy crap, I just got 1,000 views on a video. We're going to crush this thing. And I'm like, yeah, but when you look at your analytics and you look at those views, it's a 20-second video and you got 1.4 or like 1,400 views, which is a lot. But the average view of that was 20%.
Yeah.
Then that's not as good because a good video would actually be 120% or 180% retention. That means they watched it almost twice and they have hundreds of millions of video views. And so, like, let's put it for what it is. And that's why I like long form because long form, it's like if they click it, if you can get the click, you can get the watch. And they're making a choice there. I don't believe the way that the feed structure is set up that people go to watch a creator, they go to experience something. And so this is a question I like to ask people. I'm like, you probably watch short form content. Well, who was the creator that created the last short form content that you watched? Most people are like, I don't know, but I can tell you what the video is. And that tells
Yeah.
me, you know what? It's not necessarily about the community. It's more about the content. And long forms are more about the community and also the content, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. Absolutely. And it brings me to one more question, which I'm sure that you're gonna say is also about passion, but we're gonna put that
Well,
there.
Bruno,
We understand that passion is the most important thing, which
that's
I
right.
agree. Like my Instagram name is the Passion Business Coach.
Yep.
We help people to create from their passions, create their business. So I'm totally with you on that.
Yep.
Now, my question is, as you know, Alex Hormozy has partially impacted the industry with his way of creating short reels. With the typical green, yellow subtitle with some
Yep.
images right now and there. So now everyone are following the same the same trend. At least most people are following the same trend. What is your view on this? Like, do you still think that it's better to be original or do something different?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me respond to this because this question, believe it or not, it's not going to be passion. The answer is not passion on this one. But let me respond to something. Let's use Alex as the perfect example since you brought him up. Okay, people says, "Oh, dude, he just got a ton of views," and you know what? We're going to do exactly what Alex does. He does green and yellow text, and
Yeah.
that's the hack. That's the secret of making it from there. Now, I know Alex. I spent time with Alex. We went on vacation together. It was more of a mastermind. I've worked with him and his team, and I'm here to tell you that it's his personality and his like he'll sit in a freaking room. Like think about this for a second. He'll sit in a closet, has his little nose thing on, just going like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he'll just give some really good advice. and it will get millions of views. And it's not about oh the color of the font or it's the vertical video. No, the value of the video is Alex was able to connect to someone where they go, oh my gosh, that speaks to me. I got to share this with someone. I got to watch it more than once. Or I really like how he's bringing his storytelling and helping me be better, even though it's non-related. Maybe it's not even remotely related, but it is related to me because what he's saying speaks to me. That's the difference. And to say, oh, everyone's copying him, it's true. He's setting the standard, but what they're not copying is the value that he's bringing, or they'd have the
Mm,
video views too.
powerful. That's so powerful. So again, it's content is king. It's more about the content, while all the rest, the format, subtitle, images, are just decoration. It's
Yep.
all about the content, right?
Yeah, I think it's more what is the content for? If your content's for you, then don't expect more than one view. If
Hmm.
your content is to bring value to others, then you can expect the views.
Nice. Content and value for others. Nice.
Yep.
So I got a follow-up question that wasn't in my, I didn't prepare for that. But because you said that you know Alex Ormozy and you follow his stuff, um, my question is, as you said, most of the time it's not relatable, which, is making 100 million, maybe more a year, like super muscular guy, like most people, they can't relate to that. So what do you think is the secret that still make his content so valuable, even if many people can't relate to him and his position at the moment?
So I think the difference would be his videos are not being about you know, $100 million business. It's not about him becoming a billionaire. It's not even about acquisition.com, which he's there. It's about him giving his life experience on how he got to where he's at. He
Mm.
did a great video of how he built a $100 million frozen yogurt empire
Yes, I saw that one.
in 11 minutes. Okay. And it was about his choice to either buy a gym or go get into this franchise model. And he did a lot of deep research, a lot more research. I was surprised of how deep he goes, but then I'm
Yeah,
not surprised because who he is, right?
yeah.
And then ultimately it was this. It was he was like, holy crap. Now that I know what I know now, I could have crushed it. And here's how I would have crushed it. That's great content. And he literally just gave step by step. He was giving people ideas. It says, "Oh, I don't do this, but this is basic business principles to succeed." That's where the value proposition is.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Powerful. Awesome. That was really powerful. I was letting that sink.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Daryl, I like to leave one last question, which is, what is one question that I didn't ask?
Well,
Considering that,
there's a lot of questions you didn't ask,
yeah,
Bruno.
considering that my audience are coaches, consultants
Yeah,
who want to scale to six, seven figures and achieve financial location and time freedom.
yeah.
So,
So this I'll circle back this to my first answer was mindset and goal setting. I don't know how like I don't know too many people in this space that are not hyper specific or hyper passionate about something.
mm,
If you really look at my resume and everything I was able to accomplish, um, most people would be happy with one of those things in their life. And they think, oh, you know, if I could just do this, in my life would be all worth it. For me, uh, I never view achieving something as that moment as like this so big moment. It's just a step. It's a step taking me something closer. So every year, I actually focus in on my 3 year goal, and I do it every July. And I try to figure out what is my goals I want to do in business, what do I want to do my goals in my relationship with my family and my relationships with my friends. What's my goals of where I want to be? spiritually, where's my goals, where I want to be monetarily. And I try to get some clarity, and I usually take the whole month to process this. I usually
Mm.
take a lot of time off, and we do a lot of vacationing, and I'm usually sitting at a beach somewhere, getting to become like a lobster because I'm white as white and I get red as red. But I'm thinking about it, and then I take time after July and I really narrow it down. I generally have all the goals I want to achieve, and I start putting a plan together from August 1st to the end of the year. Try to figure out, okay, is this actually doable? Is it feasible? What's going to stop me from doing this? Like I get hyper specific on this, right? And then at the end of the year, I start the goal. The 3 year goal becomes activated. So in 6 months, I've already done a lot of preparatory research on how it's going to interfere and things that's going to be good and bad and challenges that I'm going to face, and created a plan. Well, it becomes activated on January 1st. And the 3 year goals in January 1st are activated. And the previous 3 year goals are my 2 year goals. My previous 2 year goals become my 1 year goal. My previous 1 year goal becomes my 6 month goal. And my 6 month goal actually is converts into my daily activities. And everything's leading to 3 years. Now, let me give you a perfect example of how I was able to get on the Wall Street Journal bestseller. Okay.
Yes.
And I will tell you how that happened in my 3 year goal. Okay. It's very simple. I said, my goal was I need to stop doing one-on-one work,
Mm.
so I can spend more time on The Chosen, which is a TV series about the life of Jesus Christ. And this is my most passionate project that I'm involved with. And I'm a co-founder of it. And I'm building the audience and, going from there and, getting people super engaged. And the problem was I need to stop doing time here and put it here, but I don't want this to fall apart. Well, I knew I needed to go on a coaching program of my own. And so instead of doing one-on-one, I'd go one-on-many. So I had to hire someone. So the plan was, how do I do that within 3 years? So I had to hire someone on, bring them up to speed to understand my system, develop the system where it was taking what was in my head I do for clients and put it in a systematic way, and then create an opportunity to teach someone to do it. And so that's what I did. And I went through that process, right? And by year 3, I needed to be able to walk away where I'm spending just minimal amount of time for that. So 2 years into the process I was able to get that coaching program up and going, and was able to hire someone that could become the president of my company and then also handle this portion of the business. But this is where it's interesting. And then Bruno, this is very, very specific. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a funnel to bring in new people, because if I
Mm.
couldn't bring in new people, that was one of the problems that I saw. If I didn't bring in new people, then I'd either have to pay for the exposure, but I wanted to do it organically. So
Mm.
I decided I needed to write a book. Within 3 years, I got to write a book. And this coaching program needs to be established well enough that I need a full year to teach people the system. And once I'm able to teach the system, that they can have case studies. So this book has case studies of my students
Mm.
succeeding on YouTube from zero or wherever they were at. Okay, so that was the goal, 3 years. So I was literally taking time off, and the 3 year goal was now at 1 year. So like I got to write a book, and this is the year I got to write the book. Oh crap! I was all ready to go. We kind of wrote something. I was sitting on a beach in Hawaii thinking about this when I'm supposed to be thinking about, hey, how nice the weather is or whatever.
Yeah.
But once again, my white skin was becoming red. It was like the red skin, right? But anyway, and I get this ding on my phone. I don't normally take my phone to the beach. I usually like to disconnect and whatever. Or if I do, I want to listen to an audio podcast or audio book or whatever. And so, but for that moment, I ding it. It was an email, and I'm like, should I check my email, whatever? So I checked my email, and it was from a publisher, and the publisher says, "Hey, we'd like to jump on a call. We think that you'd be a perfect candidate to write a book."
Wow.
I said, "How about now?" He says, "Great, jump on the phone." And he goes, "Hey, we were just going through the market. We think there's an opportunity on YouTube. We saw some books out there that weren't up to our standards. We watched some of your stuff, and we're blown away by what you do. What do you have you ever considered writing a book?" I says, "Well, here, let me just email you really quick the outline of the book." And they go, "Oh, what? You already had the book?" Yeah, I'm like, "Well, the outline." And so I sent it back to them, and within like 2 days, I actually had an offer from a publisher to publish my book, to go through that whole process, to mentor me in ways that I didn't understand the book business, and I was able to do it. And so the whole thing was, um, uh, I had to get it done. And guess when I got it done? Literally well before the 3 year mark, and I was able to launch it. And it was actually on February the next year, we actually hit the bestseller list, and we
Wow.
crushed it. And so the point that I'm getting at is, whatever you want to do, the better that you can get clarity of why you're doing it, the passion behind it, and you're setting goals, and you're getting a little bit more granular on your action plan. And if your goals work together, and I think a lot of people don't have their goals work together. In
Mm,
fact, I know that they don't. But if it works together, and it's more than just money, I think, oh, I want to make $1 million. Well, that's easy. What if it was like, how can I impact people in a way that they'll want to give me $100? What would that $100 be? And you start figuring out, well, I'm passionate about this, and it's like, well, what's the value proposition? How did that become that? Then it's a numbers game, because like, really, 1,000 people paying you $1,000 is $1 million. 10,000 people paying you $100 is $1 million. It's easy. It's easy.
yeah.
It's easy. The difference would be is, can you be dedicated enough to be focused enough on what your passion is? Can you create goals that are realistic, and you give enough time? I believe you can do almost anything in 3 years. I really do. There's certain goals that might take 30 years, but I think you can do in 3 year increments, get to where you need to be. But ultimately, you need to make sure that it's realistic enough, and that you have enough thought in what's going to stop you, what's going to inhibit you, and you're creating a plan. And that's the most valuable advice I can give you. So even with the YouTube channel, that you specifically want to start, even if you can understand why you're doing it, and what you're doing, and who you're helping and providing value to, and go through the process of really analyzing this, I think you can achieve anything you want. I really do. I really, really do.
Wow. Especially that mindset that with that dedication you can achieve everything you want. I hope you inspire everyone like you just inspired me, because it's true. Like, we can really achieve anything that we want if we put that dedication, mindset, and passion.
Well, thank you, Bruno. I really appreciate the time, for
Thank
sure.
you. I really appreciate the time, and it's been 30 minutes. So again, thank you very much for joining this show. And if people want to know more about you, what is the best place to find it?
Yeah, just go to DerralEves.com. It's spelled DerralEves.com, or just Derral Eves on any social media platform. So,
Perfect. Awesome. Thank
okay,
you again
thank
so
you.
much, Derral. Thank you, everyone, for joining this episode of the Zero to Freedom Show. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Bye bye.